Curve Miller joins us right now from Russell & Company. He's right there along with me. How you doing, Curve?
Great. How are you guys? Thanks.
All right. Is Curve your birth name?
Seriously, because we've been discussing this for the last 15 minutes.
Well, my birth name is Curvin. I'm actually Curvin Elwood Miller IV. I actually just had my son, Curvin V.
Wow.
Born December 31st last year.
Curvin Elwood Miller IV? That is a great name, Curve.
Hey, thank you very much. My grandpa's 90, and you know, he's still with us. So.
Curvin, where are you from?
I'm from Dayton, Ohio, just outside Dayton, actually, Beaver Creek, Ohio.
So whole family, Dayton, Ohio.
Yep. Yeah, whole family is local here. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, so what do you make of what's happening here? Last week we got a punch in the gut in this weekly jobless claims number. It really set a market, and Tracy kind of brought up M&A activity this morning. It looked like it was going to help the market out. Certainly did at the end of last week, and then that jobs report just ruined everything. And it seems every week we've got something like that, Curve, whether it's the GDP coming up this Friday, whether it's the monthly jobs report the next Friday. It just seems like we're not going to be able to get out of our own way. Would you agree with that?
Well, absolutely, Chris. And, you know, the markets have been on a roller coaster this year and with really no clear direction. I think the markets are coming to a fork in the road. Currently, the markets have a lot of ambiguity in them. Like you said, with, obviously the Fed just a couple weeks ago saying that, the slowing recovery, and then coupled with the fact that we have higher unemployment numbers over the last week, I think that the markets we're going to continue to see increased volatility. With regards to M&A activity, I think the recession gave companies a lot of time to sit and reflect. And when these companies were sitting and reflecting, they were building in their cash piles, I think they're looking at a long-term strategy. Unlike investors who have a lot of cash, these companies are trying to look at their long-term growth potentials.
But what's going to get them, to get out there and do something? And we were talking earlier on our, Chris and I are on Varney & Co. earlier. Stuart Varney seems to believe that a change in Congress, a Republican takeover, is enough to get corporate America out there spending and hiring again. I'm not sure I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I think one thing we're looking for is going to be job creation. It's whether or not the federal government decides they want to keep spending. I think that could be a short-term boost, but I think long-term, I think the underlying fundamentals are still very weak. One of them being obviously job creation and unemployment. And I think like I said, a lot of investors, a lot of companies are sitting on the sidelines, kind of waiting this out. The Fed. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Curve, the market seems to be or continues to operate separately from the rest of our economy. I mean, it just seems to not want it seems to want to be in a range, whereas the rest of the economic data that we get suggests that we're not going to be in a range. We're actually going to be below that range. Does the market catch up? Does the market finally say it's time to break out of this range to the downside? Because yes, we are losing 500,000 jobs a week, or initial claims at 500,000 every week. Housing data bad. Even GDP 1.5%. Does the market finally catch up to the rest of the economic data we're getting?
I don't know. It seems like the market trades on every day, depending on the economic report that day. It's the markets are doing that. I think the markets are really lost at this point. I think they're trying to find themselves. But again, like I said, I think the underlying fundamentals and trying to get the underlying fundamentals of the economy, I think the markets are really, really searching at this point.
So where are you putting your money these days then? If we have loads of uncertainty, we don't know what's going to turn the tides, what are you doing?
Well, I think that there's opportunities. We work predominantly with people nearing or in retirement. And if I'm going to help advise somebody on how to build a financial portfolio, I'm going to do it just like I would build a house. And I ask people, if you're going to build your fiscal house, are you going to start with the roof or the foundation? And obviously the foundation is where you want to start, and you're looking at true diversification. Losses at this stage in the game for people nearing or in retirement are catastrophic. There are no times for redos. So I think alternatives outside the U.S., there are alternatives there, and I think alternatives to the U.S. stock market in general.
Do you recommend, because it used to be, hey, if you're getting close to retirement, bonds, cash or cash equivalents, that type of investment, and less stocks, but we could have a bond bubble here in the next couple of years that could affect people who are invested in bonds. In cash is giving you no return. I mean, where do you, how do you, being diversified is fine, but you obviously have to have some risk and maybe more risk nowadays than you did 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I agree with that, too. I see a tremendous bubble in bonds currently. A lot of people over the last few months have gone from equities into bonds. That has created a big bubble. I mean, we have very low yields. We have interest rates at historic lows. And any increase in those rates or any sign of inflationary pressure is going to, I think a lot of people it's the next shoe to drop. So like you said, with a lot of people being in bonds and cash not paying anything, you got to be careful. I think also, too, some small cap, if you're in small caps, you got to be cautious, too. I think with the looming tax increases, if nothing changes this year, it could really wreak havoc there as well.
Herb, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts and your full real name.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Curvin Elwood Miller IV. Outstanding. Thanks, Curv.
Curv Miller of Russell